Okay, let's have some shares, questions. First off, I'd be very curious, after you've done the process where we balanced all three and you observed like how we did at the very end, when you were looking at your past experiences or your active situation, what did you notice happened after you sat and observed it for just a little tiny bit? What did you know?
For me, it really dissociated, I don't know a better word for it, disidentified
Mhm.
me from taking it personally. And I
Right.
realized it became so clear when I took out my own drama about it that I was the tire being kicked of the car that somebody didn't like the car.
Mm. So, what she said in a nutshell was like when she observed it, um, that she stopped taking it personal, and it was just almost like a person kicking a tire of a car, but a car that they didn't want. Right. Yeah.
You're mad at the car.
Right. And how about for you? What did you notice? Yeah.
I mean, I think I fell asleep, but
You fell asleep. I can't confirm that.
the experience in that sleep was amazing.
So when you're looking at the past event or the active situation, part of what can happen here sometimes is you'll notice like Heidi had an experience where she like it totally changed her perception. You tend to go into a deeper level of observance rather than projection or preconceived thought. And you can even start to enter into a place where you just start almost expanding like you would in meditation. Part of what's happening, excuse me, part of what's happening when you're putting your awareness on the Mingmen, the back heart, and the crown at the same time, is you're starting to establish the spine as a pillar of light. And what starts to happen is that's a deeper level of harmonization of the three brains, for one. But two, it's like your ability to emanate light and your ability to receive things that even if it's a negative projection, it's just like what Heidi said. There was a negative perception, but as it comes in and it hits the light of the spine, it's like, yeah, that person's like that with everybody. You know, like it wasn't personal. It's just they were standing in front of me at the time, or I was standing in front of them, and they behaved a particular way. Like she made it like kicking the tire of a car that they were angry at, or just didn't even see her as a person. It was just like this thing and this reaction, and it changes the dynamic of how you interact with these things, either in the now or how you interact with the things from the past. And it starts being more where you have realizations rather than like triggers. Like you're like Heidi had the realization, like, oh, kind of wasn't about me. The person was just being a jerk and hitting on something that it didn't like or was angry at. And a lot of times that's what situations are. People aren't sitting and going, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna say this or I'm gonna say that. They're just in their own little world. They're saying the things that they say, they do what they do. And you know, sometimes it's hurtful to people, sometimes it's obnoxious. They usually don't think it out. We would like to think that they do, but they don't. Uncle Bobs aren't that smart. They don't sit and form all these strategies. They're just reactors. They're just mediocre behaves like mediocre. Yeah, it is.
And go ahead, Uwe, and then Dan.
Hey, wait.
Hi, Greg. Uh,
Mhm.
I've got some sharing to do,
Oh,
and
good.
the sharing is all that you have just said just now. And also, I could be aware of some warm energy upon my spine.
Okay.
And going through the whole sequence at the end, it was a situation back then. At the end,
Mhm.
I could caress that person with so much love.
Oh, good. Perfect. Yeah.
So, what's on the warm, fuzzy?
Most likely it's like low energies moving up. Like, so you're getting a potential activation and a little bit of kundalini moving up, or just lower energies moving up, which means they're being more refined. And so like when we look at like these old situations, they're negative because they usually involved a lot of lower energy, either from the other person or from us, or both, or whatever. So even when we look at these situations, some of it is we're moving the energy up to be more refined, and it's almost like you're moving up and out of that situation, or you're disentangling so that you just walk away from it. Like you're changing the frequency so you're not just stuck in that loop of being upset, being hurt, whatever it is, over and over again.
Okay, got that.
Yeah.
And there was also another observation, if
Hmm.
you
Sure.
get clarity for me on that. It was that at the left side of my brain, call it like that,
Hmm.
sometimes it's getting a little bit heavy, quote unquote, or maybe a little bit stiff.
Yeah. Most likely that's just some old stuff coming out. Like when we do this practice, the left side of your brain expels a lot harder than the right. And a lot of it is like old ways of doing things, opinions, thought processes, repetitive thoughts, like all those things. Some of that's getting flushed out of the brain and the mental body. So that's probably what you're feeling.
Okay, so on that being said, the bestest of way is just getting through it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Like you could inhale like a little frankincense or a little sage, and a lot of times that will, even cistus will just like flush that out of the brain.
All right, Greg. Very, very so much grateful for all
You're
of us.
you're so
And then go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, to coin someone what someone said earlier, drop bottle, check.
Yeah, yeah.
Not enough others.
Yeah.
I had a couple of questions. Just to comment on this though, it took me a while to remember what the experience was. I mean, I had to
Mhm.
think about it a couple of
Mhm.
times to actually get the words around it again. But once I did, it was like kind of translucent and had holes in it,
Mm.
the situation. Yeah,
It's-
it's a thought kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the other questions that I did have, it seemed a little easier to go to the three centers on the back on the
Mhm.
spine than it was on the front. I mean, I'd have to kind of think about it on the front to get them aligned for a
Yeah,
moment.
the other one we've been practicing longer, for one.
Okay.
And two, because they're all transmuting, it's like easier to hold your attention on them because it's moving the energy up and out. Like sometimes with the other, like you're processing things and it's not transmuting. So sometimes it takes a little bit for the chakra to kick it out. It still gets kicked out, but those three centers, I mean, that's what they do, is they transmute, they raise the vibration of things. And so it becomes easier and easier with that one because of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's another transmutation pattern, I think, besides the one we just did from the souls, Mingmen, back, heart, and crown. There's like a basic back, spleen, Mingmen, then back, heart, and crown.
Yeah, that does something different. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's the difference if you share?
Um,
Yeah,
this helps to transmute like lower vibrational energies in the body, lower emotions at the back heart, and then the crown, lower mental activity, where the component where you do the basic, the spleen, the Mingmen, and then the crown,
yeah, or the crown. Yeah.
you're transmuting elementals, like you're transmuting patterns. Yeah.
Okay.
Even transmuting is not even the best word for it. It's almost like you're uh shifting the body into a different state, like if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when we're not feeling good, if you stood back and said, well, what state is the body in? A lot of times it's in a chaotic state. It's in a state where it's got an illness, it may be stressed out, certain systems aren't working the way they should, or they're not aligned with the other systems in the body. Um, there could be emotional patterns that are causing us or motivating us to behave and act in a particular way. And so it's literally like when you go through and you do that pattern, you're shifting the state that the body is in. Like you're making it more organized. You're making it like less chaotic and more organized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, I know that sounds kind of similar, but that they are actually very different.
No, I kind
Yeah.
of get it. I
Yeah.
kind of get it. Yeah. Okay.
I nodded off at the end. That wasn't me. Somebody else did it. The memories of being sexually harassed and the feeling that came with it shifted into realizing that these are just memories that are nothing but images in my mind. I could observe the image, but had no attachment to the image being anything that the image had anything to do with me anymore. At the beginning was feeling a lot of fear about current situation, which is ongoing, not yet resolved. But now I feel much more calm and not quite as strong as fear now.
Good. Good.
I feel so much energy moving through now. Holy moly.
Mm-hmm.
Also not me. I just
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's see. Anything else we want to talk about with that particular thing? I think we're good. I think we're needing a break.